I was scrolling through my family tree the other night, and I had one of those moments where you suddenly see something you've been staring at for months but never really noticed. 3 different branches of my Johnson line, all migrating from Tennessee to Arkansas in the exact same 5-year window in the 1840s. Same counties, similar timing, but I'd been so focused on individual brick walls that I'd completely missed this massive migration pattern happening right under my nose. What if I told you that there are probably dozens of patterns like this hiding in your family tree right now? Patterns that could unlock entire lineages, solve stubborn brick walls, and help you understand the bigger story of how your ancestors lived and moved through history. I'm your host, Brian, and welcome to Episode 8 of Ancestors and Algorithms, where family history meets artificial intelligence. Today, we're stepping back from the individual trees to see the forest, using AI tools to spot patterns, connections, and trends across your entire family tree that your human brain might miss. This builds perfectly on everything we've covered so far about prompting and working with individual AI tools, because now we're going to put those skills to work on something much bigger. Let me paint you a picture. I've been working on my great-great-grandmother's line for literally 3 years. Sarah Jane was born around 1847, somewhere in Tennessee, married a man named William, and disappeared into Arkansas by 1870. Classic brick wall, right? For 3 years, I've been laser-focused on finding Sarah Jane's parents, birth records, marriage records, census hunting, you name it, I tried it. And I was getting absolutely nowhere. Then, last month, I decided to step back and look at the bigger picture. Instead of focusing on just Sarah Jane, I fed all my Tennessee research, every family I'd documented, every migration I'd tracked, every connection I'd found, into Claude. And here's what happened. Within 20 minutes, the AI spotted something I'd completely missed. 7 different families in my research, all originally from the same county in Tennessee, all moving to the exact same township in Arkansas between 1845 and 1850. Not only that, but 4 of those families had children who intermarried in Arkansas. This wasn't just random migration. This was an entire community picking up and moving together. Suddenly, instead of looking for one needle in a haystack, I had a roadmap. I knew exactly which families to research, which churches they likely attended, which land records to check. AI helped me see the forest, and now I'm making real progress on those individual trees. This is the power of pattern recognition, something our human brains are actually pretty terrible at when we're dealing with hundreds of names, dates, and places. We get so focused on the details that we miss the big picture connections. But here's the thing, and this is important. AI is your research assistant, not your researcher. These patterns it spots, they're clues. Really good clues that can save you months of spinning your wheels, but they still need to be verified with real records and real evidence. So how do we actually use AI to spot these hidden patterns? I'm going to walk you through my proven process using 4 different AI tools, each with its own strengths for this kind of work. First up, Claude, the document detective. Claude is absolutely fantastic for this kind of analysis because of its projects feature. You can upload all your research documents, family group sheets, timelines, research logs, even photos of records, and Claude maintains context across multiple conversations. Here's my go-to Claude pattern recognition prompt. Quote, I'm going to share my complete family research for the, insert surname, line spanning 1800 to 1900. please analyze all the information and identify patterns in migration routes, naming conventions, occupations, marriage timing, and geographic clustering. Look for connections I might have missed and highlight any anomalies that deserve further investigation." End quote. Then I paste in everything: timelines, family group sheets, location data, you name it. Claude is brilliant at seeing connections across large amounts of information. Just last week, Claude pointed out that 3 separate branches of my tree all had men named John who died between ages 23 to 25, all in different decades, all in different states. That's the kind of pattern that might indicate military service, occupational hazards, or even inherited health issues worth investigating. Next, ChatGPT, the data organizer. ChatGPT excels at taking your messy family data and organizing it in ways that reveal patterns. My favorite technique is the GEDCOM analysis. If you can export a GEDCOM file from your family tree software, and most programs can do this, you can paste sections of it into ChatGPT with this prompt. Quote, "Analyze this GEDCOM data and create a comprehensive report showing 1. Geographic distribution by generation, 2. Occupational patterns across family lines, 3. Naming patterns and their evolution, 4. Marriage and death age patterns, 5. Any unusual clustering or anomalies that warrant investigation." End quote. ChatGPT will organize all that raw genealogical data from readable patterns. I've discovered everything from family naming traditions I'd never noticed to geographic migration patterns that led to previously unknown records. Then, Perplexity, the context creator. Perplexity's real strength is connecting your family patterns to historical context. Once you've identified a pattern, say a bunch of your ancestors all moved from Ohio to Kansas in the 1870s, Perplexity can help you understand why. Try this prompt. Quote, "My ancestors migrated from specific county, Ohio, to specific county, Kansas, between 1872 to 1878. Research the historical context of this migration pattern. What economic, social, or political factors drove people to make this move during this time period? Were there organized migration efforts or specific events that triggered this moment?" End quote. Perplexity will search current sources and give you cited information about railroad development, land policies, economic conditions, all the context that helps you understand not just what happened, but why. This historical context often reveals where to look for records. When I learned that my Kansas ancestors were part of a post-Civil War veteran land grant program, suddenly I knew to check military pension records and land office files I'd never thought to search. Finally, Google Gemini, the anomaly spotter. Gemini has been really surprising me lately with its ability to spot things that don't fit the pattern. I use it specifically for finding the outliers that might represent research opportunities. Here's my anomaly hunting prompt. Quote, "Based on this family data, paste your organized information, identify individuals or events that don't follow the typical family patterns. Look for unusual migration timing, occupational changes, marriage age variations, or geographic outliers. These anomalies often represent the biggest research opportunities." End quote. Just last month, Gemini flagged that one of my ancestors married unusually late, at age 38 in 1856, when everyone else in the family married in their early 20s. That led me to discover he'd been married before to a woman who died in childbirth, and I found a whole branch of the family I never knew existed. Let me show you exactly how this works with a real case study. I'm going to walk you through how I used AI pattern recognition to solve a brick wall that had stumped me for 2 years. The problem? My great-great-grandfather, James Patterson, appeared in the 1880 census in Texas with a wife named Mary and 3 children. But in 1870, he wasn't anywhere to be found in Texas. I had no idea where he came from. Step 1. I gathered every Patterson in my research, not just direct ancestors, but anyone with the surname I'd encountered in my Texas research. Dates, locations, occupations, everything. Step 2, I fed it all to Claude with this specific prompt. Quote, analyze all these Patterson family records from Texas 1860 to 1890. Look for patterns in arrival timing, counties of settlement, occupations, and any potential family connections. Pay special attention to any Pattersons who appear suddenly without previous Texas records, and this might indicate recent migration, end quote. Claude identified something fascinating. 5 different Patterson families all appeared in the same 3-county area of Texas between 1875 to 1880. None of them were there in 1870. All were farmers or farm laborers. 3 of them had children born in Arkansas in the early 1870s. Step 3, I took this pattern to Perplexity to understand the historical context. Quote, research migration patterns from Arkansas to East Texas, 1870 to 1880. What economic or social factors drove families to relocate during this period? Were there specific migration routes or organized settlement efforts? End quote. Perplexity found information about post-Reconstruction economic challenges in Arkansas, railroad development opening up East Texas farmland, and even specific land companies recruiting Arkansas farmers. Step 4, armed with this context, I went back to ChatGPT to organize a targeted research plan. Quote, based on this migration pattern from Arkansas to Texas, 1875 to 1880, create a research plan to locate Patterson family records. Focus on Arkansas counties with economic stress, railroad routes to Texas, land company records, and church records that might show family movement, end quote. The result? Within 6 weeks, I found James Patterson in Washington County, Arkansas in 1870, traced his family back 2 more generations, and discovered he was part of a planned community migration organized by their Methodist church. That's the power of using AI to see the forest, not just the trees. Every pattern it identified had to be verified with real records. Every connection had to be proven with evidence. The AI gave me a roadmap, but I still had to do the genealogy work. All right, here is your homework assignment for this week, and I promise this is going to be eye-opening. Step 1, choose one family surname in your tree that you've researched across at least 3 generations. Step 2, gather everything you know about that surname, not just your direct line, but every person with that name you've encountered. Create a simple document with names, dates, locations, and occupations. Step 3, use the Claude prompt I shared earlier to analyze for patterns. Upload your data to a Claude project so you can have ongoing conversations about what it finds. Step 4, take the most interesting pattern Claude identifies and research its historical context using Perplexity. Step 5, come back and tell me what you discovered. I'm serious about this. I want to hear your pattern recognition breakthrough stories. Email me, leave a comment, or find me on social media. I love celebrating these aha moments with fellow researchers. And here's my prediction. At least one of you is going to discover a connection or pattern that completely changes the direction of your research. When that happens, remember, the AI showed you where to look, but your genealogy skills proved it was real. Next week in episode 9, we're diving into something that's going to blow your mind if you've ever struggled with old handwriting. We're exploring Transcribus, an AI-powered tool that can actually read and transcribe handwritten documents from centuries past. I'm talking about turning your great-great-grandmother's impossible cursive into searchable, readable text. If you've got boxes of old letters, diary pages, or deed records, you can't make heads or tails of, this episode is going to be a game changer. Remember, we're not just using AI to make our genealogy easier. We're using it to see our families in entirely new ways. Those patterns hiding in your data, they're not just research clues. They're the threads that connect your ancestors' stories into rich tapestry of family history. Until next week, keep exploring those connections, and remember, AI is your research assistant, not your researcher, but what an assistant it can be. I'm your host, Brian, and this has been Ancestors and Algorithms. Thanks for joining me on this journey where family history meets artificial intelligence.